Hello. I wanted to let you see my face again. I miss seeing you every day. Um, yeah, we're gonna just keep rocking and rolling with this whole factoring business. We are going to continue factoring with a leading coefficient that's not 1, right? So where you have to take A times C, and then you split that middle term into the two factors. We're going to keep going with that. We're going to add another element to it. But I just wanted to say hi before we got started. I hope you had a good weekend. This weekend, I decided to get on the Corona Cut haircut train. And I cut my hair. You may not remember, I used to have longer hair, but I don't now. Can't let all the boys have fun. I did not shave my head like some of the boys are doing out there. Some of the ladies too might be shaving their heads. I did not go that far. Just cut about 5 inches off in the bathroom. It'll grow back. But we're going to keep on going. So let's go back to our notes and get busy. Turn this around, rotate. All right, so we are going to continue on with this skill of factoring when the leading coefficient is not a 1. So we've got an A value at the beginning. We're still going to unfoil. We're going to use all the same steps that we used in 103, page 103, page 104 for practice. But it's this new idea now, right? So up until now, we've been only working with polynomials, right? Or algebraic expressions. There has been no equal sign. So we're adding on to this. So this is the new element that's going to be added to this. So if we look at pages, let's find them. Man, I just learned so much. Right? If we've looked at this, they've all just been expressions. There's been no equal sign on any of these problems. Today, we're adding into them. We're making them equations. So we are going to start a new unit, and it is going to be called quadratics. And this is going to be solving, right? Instead of just factoring, we're going to still factor, but we're going to solve a quadratic equation, because there's going to be an equal sign, by factoring. All right, so that being said, again, we are going to have an equal sign now, so it's now an equation, but we're still going to use these steps to factor. So it's the same skill up here. We're just adding an equal sign to it. So there's going to be some more at the end after we factored. So let's go to page 105 and let's solve quadratic equations by factoring. And we're going to start out slow and steady. There may be an A value. Maybe we'll even do some that don't have an A value. Maybe we'll do a couple that are pretty easy without an A value to begin with. And then we'll just build on that in our notes. So the word quadratic maybe is ringing a bell. Maybe you've heard that before. So this is going to work. Remember, a quadratic has a largest exponent of 2. So our quadratic is going to be, it's going to be a math problem where the biggest exponent is a 2. We need to make sure they're going to be written this way for the most part at the beginning, but just always make sure that it's written in standard form. right? Exponents from least or from greatest to least. And then the new part today is that the equation must equal 0. That's the new part. The new part is that it's an equation, it has an equal sign, and that our problem must equal 0. Sometimes it's not going to say equal 0, and we're going to have to replace something with 0. So you might need to solve for 0, or you might need to change the y or f of x value to 0. And I'll show you what that means. But again, it's not any different than these steps right here. Like, is there a GCF? Take that leading coefficient out. Then we're going to factor it, right? And then we'll have these two answers as our factors. We're doing all of these steps. Maybe it'll be an easy one, right? Where there's a y, there's no coefficient, no leading coefficient for that y. And so it's just factors of c that have a sum of b. It might be a little more difficult. We have to do factors of a and c that have a sum of b. But we're just factoring that way. The difference is that our problem is going to equal 0. So we're going to start out with a really simple, no leading coefficient problem. So I'm going to have 0 equals x squared plus 4x minus 21. Right? So again, I have this problem where I am looking for factors of negative 21, because there's a leading coefficient of 1, that have a sum of 4. So what times what makes negative 21, but when you add it together, you get positive 4. So 7 and negative 3. And my answer to this problem is going to be x plus 7, because it's positive 7, and x minus 3. I just factored it, right? Because it's an easy one, and it equals 0. That's the new part, is the equaling 0. So let's do another one. Pretty basic. Nothing crazy about it yet. Let's do 3x squared minus x minus 4 equals y. Or I could take this and I could put it at the front. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to change that y to make it be 0 equals 3x squared minus x minus 4. That's all I had to do. I just replaced the 0 with, or the y with the 0. So this one is going to be factors of a times c, which is 3 times negative 4, which is negative 12, that have a sum of negative 1. So what times what makes negative 12, but when you add them together, you get positive 1. That's, or negative 1, sorry, that's 3 and negative 4. So to factor this problem, I'm going to do 3x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 4. Because again, I'm replacing that middle term with my two factors. I split it in half, 3x and x plus 1. And back here is negative 4 and x plus 1. So my answer is 3x minus 4 and x plus 1. And it equals 0. So I just factored, right? I have not done anything new. I am factoring and having my answer, which are the two binomials, equal 0. The new part of this whole process, the new element of this. So we've done our factoring part. They have the largest exponent of their quadratics. They're written in standard form. It has to equal 0. So these, I made them, this one equaled 0. I made this one equal 0, and I just factored them. The new part is, after you factor them, you are now going to solve each binomial. This is the new part. So, the new part is solve each binomial. And after you solve each binomial, you're going to write the ordered pairs. And that is going to be our answer. So our answer is no longer the math problem. Our answer is going to be the ordered pairs. So up here, I had 0 equals x plus 7 and x minus 3. And I'm going to solve each binomial. So I'm going to do x plus 7 equals 0. That's what the problem equals. And I'm going to do x minus 3 equals 0. Minus 7, x equals negative 7. And over here is plus 3, x equals 3. So my answer is negative 7, because that's my x value, comma 0, because that's my y value. My answer is always y equals. And over here is 3, because that's my x value, comma 0. So those are the answers to this quadratic equation. I factored my quadratic just like I did previously. I'm going to now solve each binomial and write the ordered pairs. So here were my binomials. I solved them each for 0, got my x answers, put my x answers in the x part, and 0 in for my y part. I'm going to do this one. I factored this problem, and I got 0 equals 3x minus 4 and x plus 1. And I'm going to solve each binomial. I guess I don't need my parentheses. 3x minus 4 equals 0. And this one is x plus 1 equals 0. Always equals 0. Add 4. So I get 3x equals 4. Divide by 3. X equals, I'm going to leave it 4/3. If you want to write 1.3 repeating, that's fine. If you want to write 1 and 1/3, that's fine. And then here, I'm going to minus 1, x equals negative 1. So I have my two answers. My answers are now ordered pairs. This ordered pair is 4 over 3, comma 0, because my x value is 4/3, and my y value is 0. And this ordered pair is negative 1, comma 0. All right, so again, today we're keeping it really simple. You are factoring the quadratic exponent of 2 trinomial. It's going to be written in standard form for you. We're not going to have to do any manipulations. We'll manipulate them later. And remember that the equation must equal 0. So it's either going to say equals 0, or if it says y equals Or if it says f of x equals, we just change that to 0. Because that's my answer, right? My input, my in number is my x. My output, my out answer is my y. And the y is going to be 0. Factor like regular. Either factors of c that have a sum of b, because my leading coefficient is 1. Or you might have to do factors of a times c that have a sum of b. If it has an a value, if it has a leading coefficient that's not 1, then, right, we split the middle. We replace the b value with those two factors, split it in half, and factor it. We've done all of that before. Once you get your binomial times a binomial times a binomial, you're going to solve each binomial independently. So you're going to solve the first binomial, solve the second binomial. They both are going to equal 0, equal 0, equal 0. When you solve for the x, you're going to write both ordered pairs. You're going to write the first ordered pair, x comma y. Your y is always 0. X comma y, the y is always 0. X comma y, the y is always 0. X comma y, the y is always 0. Your answer today, because it's now an equation, because it now has an equal sign, our answers are going to be ordered pairs. Don't panic. We are only adding 2 steps to it. These up here, factoring is just the same as what we did last week and the week before. We are now solving each of those binomials that we are finding. Always equal to 0. Always equal to 0.